Hello, my loves. Today I want to tell you a little story about a question I get asked quite a lot. So many people ask me how I got into energy healing and how I went from a recruiter in the corporate world to an energy healer, which is like the conscious world and the world of evolution and totally different to what I used to do. So today I'd like to spend a little bit of time and tell you that story. First and foremost, I think describing my history is really important because it will tell you a little bit about how I got into and how I made the transition into being an energy healer. So first and foremost, I suppose when I was in my 20s, I was really unhappy. I was physically sick, I was mentally sick, I was emotionally not okay, and there was a lot of stuff going on with me. And so I suppose also my father died in an accident when I was 20 years old, like literally overnight like that. And he was a really healthy person. And I guess that got me into questioning, how can a really healthy person just die like that at 54 years old? He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, pure vegetarian, did loads of exercise. So how did that happen? And so that made me start asking some questions about life and why I'm here and what is, I kind of looked at what his significance was and what he had to bring into this life. And then I put that to myself. Why am I here? Why was I born? What are my gifts and talents to reveal to the universe? But I wasn't quite ready for those answers at that point. So I spent the next 20 years or so, I would say from 20 to 40, even 45 years old, really healing myself. And Louise Hay, helped me a lot with that, as well as lots of other amazing people that came into my life, both through books, meditations, and things like that. So I spent loads and loads of time healing my own conditions and trying lots of different methodologies to see what would work. Because I felt so bad, I just wanted to feel, okay. I wanted to feel happy and healthy. And it's almost like I had a split personality. On one side, I was this outgoing extrovert person that was, the happiest person in the room and the person that everybody wanted to be around. And on the flip side of that, I would be alone with my thoughts, feeling really unhappy and really depressed and really sad and really kind of like I don't belong, I don't fit in, and all of those sorts of things. So that took me just over 20 years or so to really resolve and really understand and dig deep into myself and find out who I am. And also I learned about my chakras. I didn't know anything about the chakras, and so I really learned about all 7 chakras and what they represent. And I started to get into meditation really early in my 20s. And meditation, learning about the chakras, and yoga were the 3 things that really helped me get more stabilized in myself, become more confident, become more healthy, and eliminate all of the diseases and health problems that I was having. So, really that's probably where it started. And it's really beautiful because I come from that culture. I'm Indian, and this is what our culture promotes. Despite being born and brought up in the UK, there was that beautiful part of my heritage and my ancestors that could come through and, really help me to heal and make me feel better. So from 20 to kind of 40, 45, I spent 25 years in the recruitment world, in the corporate world, and did lots and lots of recruitment, and that was fantastic. I think it was my homework for being an energy healer because I learned so much about human beings and how human beings operate, how they communicate. Like, I interviewed people and worked with people from all backgrounds, like rich, poor, educated, non-educated, from all continents of the world. Loads and loads of different personalities. And I did that for like 24 years. I still do it now. I still interview people and I still do bits and pieces of recruitment because I really love it. And it taught me a lot about human behavior. So with the human behavior side, I really got to understand through coming through this volume of people, how people function, how people behave when they're nervous, how they behave when they're confident, what kind of person manipulates, what kind of person is honest, who's authentic. And I really got to develop my sixth sense. I got to a point really in my life where I could stand next to somebody, because having that many human beings come into my life really helped to fine tune my clairsentient skills and my sensitivity. And so literally I could have somebody talking to me or next to me, and I would tune into their energy, and almost I could feel the character and the person and what they were like. And it was a difficult skill at the beginning, because sometimes you absorb a lot of negative energy, and because I didn't know how to manage it, I didn't know how to deal with it. But once I learned how to master my energy and not take on that negative energy, I really got to understand and be more aware, and actually spend time with people who are not a danger to me, or spend time with people that I love, as opposed to kind of spending loads and loads of time with people thinking, oh my God, I've just wasted half of my life, So it really helped me discern who and what kind of person I wanted to hang out with. So that was really what recruitment did for me. And then I guess I kind of had a Steve Jobs joining up the dots moment, right? So back in about 2018, I think it was, I went backpacking around India for 6 weeks by myself. So I started off in Delhi, and I went all the way down to the south, right down to the southern point of where the point is of India. I stayed in Chennai, I stayed in Kerala, a lot of places in South India. And then I went all the way up to north, and I finished my trip in Mumbai with some gorgeous friends, ate some lovely food and had some wonderful experiences. And one of my friends there, his wife is an energy healer. She does some work. She belongs to this association of Sekkim healers, and I'll put a link down below if you want to learn more about that methodology. But she just casually said to me, Suki, I'm going on this energy healing course this weekend. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, okay, sounds good. I had no idea why the universe had set me up this way. I literally had no idea. So I thought, okay, nothing ventured, nothing gained, let me just go and see how it is. So I went along, and they taught us about meditation, and they taught us about healing, and they taught us about healing energy. It was a really profound, very well run course. And then right at the end of the course, they did what we call an attunement, where they completely opened up my energy. I can just describe it as I was just sitting there. I wasn't doing anything, and they just opened up my energy field, and I felt so expansive, and I felt like, oh my God, I felt I was stretched out to the whole universe. And then I just felt this beautiful Sekkim energy just pour into my body, and I felt really in alignment. I felt grounded. I felt secure. I felt happy. I felt really, really beautiful. And I think that was the moment that the gift in me was given to me, and that my gifts switched on. And like I said, I had a career in recruitment then. I had no idea I was going to be an energy healer. I had no idea whatsoever. So then after that, I finished the course, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's nice, thank you, as you do. And I came back to London, and I continued my career as a recruiter. Fast forward in the kind of lead up to the next 5 years, my recruitment career was really good in some parts, and I learnt loads and I earned loads of money, and it was really fantastic, and I was progressing. In other parts, it was declining. And I wasn't getting the kind of work, or working with the kind of people I want to work, or getting the value or the love that I used to back in the day. And, it was beginning to feel a little bit like, a little bit bored here now. What else is there out in life? And so at 42 years old, I decided, I don't know, I don't think I decided, I think the universe decided this for me, because recruitment it got to a point where it wasn't working out anymore. Sorry, I missed a step. It got to a point where it wasn't really working out anymore, and I was kind of a little bit unhappy with what I was doing and how it was going, and I couldn't really do the things that I wanted, so I felt a little bit stifled in that career. So I kind of thought, okay, what else is there? So I booked a holiday to come to Trieste, where I live now, and I had a little holiday and I went to a classical concert, and there was somebody playing the harmonica and somebody on the piano, and it was in a really old church, and the acoustics and everything was just so romantic and so amazing. And I remember after that concert going into a square and just having a drink and just looking out into the square and people watching. And I just had this thought randomly. This thought came up and said, I'd really like to live here. And it was almost like at that moment the sky opened up and I had an epiphany, and this voice deep inside me came up and said, why don't you? And I was like, seriously? I can. And I kind of I clutched the table. I was like, seriously, I can live here? This can be my life? Oh my God, right? And I just got into total excited mood. I didn't know how it was going to work out, but the thought of it was just exhilarating, right? So I basically went back to London, and within 6 months I packed up my life. I quit my job, I packed up, and I just had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I would teach English until I got on my feet here. I thought I would set up an English school because I was already teaching English to some private students and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, okay, I can go start up an English school and, you know, maybe I can make, you know, some success that way. And that's what I thought I was going to do. However, so I packed up all my things. I came here. I didn't have a house. Couldn't speak the language, and I didn't really have a job. So I came here at 42 years old, really pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And, you know, within a couple of days, I found the right place. I found the right apartment, and this is my apartment that I still live in today, you know, 5.5 years later. But I wasn't to be an English teacher. And so I was basically trying to set myself up as an English teacher and looking for properties that I could rent, and then how I would start teaching English. And, you know, throughout my research, suddenly, and everything was correct, you know, the universe gave me everything in the right time. I suddenly realised that there were two massive English schools here, and they're Cambridge and Oxford accredited, and there's no way little me could compete with those types of businesses because a lot of the people who were learning English were already learning there. On top of that, I couldn't speak the language, and, you know, there were various other problems. And so, yeah, that happened, and that was a really horrible, daunting feeling because I started to think, oh my God, I've made a mistake. What have I done? Maybe, you know, I wasn't supposed to come here. Maybe I've made just a massive error. What am I doing with my life? But, you know, I continued, and I spent the next couple of years doing a lot of yoga, doing a lot of meditation, enjoying the new scenery and getting used to Italian life and Italian cooking and getting to understand the culture and, you know, making friends and stuff like that. And that was really, really cool. But I didn't work for the first couple of years because where I live, there's not that many people that can speak English. And if they do speak English, it's, you know, it's quite a little. I'm sure there are echelons of society that do speak and that are more fluent, but at that time I never had interactions with them. And so, you know, yeah, you know, I just continued like that. And through these experiences of meditation and yoga, I got a lot more downloads and I got a lot more information that you're to be an energy healer, and we've brought you here so that you can fulfill your destiny, and this is the pathway you're supposed to take. And the Sikkim healing course you did in India was all part of that process, and the recruitment and learning about people and tuning into, you know, that sixth sense and all of those things that had happened to me, and healing myself and chakras and yoga and meditation. That was the Steve Jobs joining up the dots moment for me, because everything suddenly came into place and I thought, oh my God, everything fits, you know. I've had the training, I've healed myself, I've dealt with lots of human beings, and this feels like it's really, really good. Recruitment's no longer working for me. This seems like an exciting project, and my cells, my skin, I just felt exhilarated. I just felt so happy to be alive, you know. And this is really the first thing that happened, I suppose. The universe set me up with one of my friends. He's Italian, and I have known him for about 15 years, and he's a really wonderful, kind, generous person. You know, whenever I've come here on holiday, he's always looked after me, and he's a really, really kind, nice person. And I saw him within the first month or so of living here, and he was in a really bad way. I've never seen him like that. And like I said, I've known him for like 15 years. And he was a kind of shadow of the man he used to be. And I kind of said to him, what's the matter? What happened to you? And he told me, you know, he'd lost some people that were close to him. You know, he'd been through quite a bad period of time. And I suppose I just happened to see him at a time when he was not correct in himself. And the other thing is, he developed a stutter, and he never had a stutter. Like I said, I've known him all these years. He could speak fluidly, but all of a sudden he's got this stutter. And I know that a stutter is developed through you know, serious amounts of stress, you know. So I thought, yeah, he's really experienced a lot. And I felt empathy for him. And I really kind of like hugged him and just said, look, if you need anything, I'm here. But that was it, right? I didn't think anything else of it. I just felt really sad that my friend was hurting, you know. And so I went to bed that night. And the next day I was in a Greek restaurant, and I was eating my meal, quietly minding my own business. And I felt this strong urge. So I'm in an empty restaurant by myself. There's just the people who are serving, and there's me. And I felt this massive, massive kind of another spiritual experience. I felt like there was a presence with me, and that presence was communicating with me while I was eating. And for a moment, I felt all of my friend's sadness. Like, I literally felt what he was feeling. And that evoked some really hurtful pain in me. And I cried, you know. I was eating in this restaurant, and the tears are just streaming down my face. And I was just crying and like really, really like, oh my God, what is going on? I'm in public and I'm crying. And, you know, I didn't really understand it. But you know, I knew that something big was happening. So I finished my meal and I got up, and about 5 minutes away from the restaurant, there's an old Roman theatre that was excavated from the ground, and it's really beautiful. It's very small, and Italy has loads of these types of places, but it was there, and I almost felt like I was being led there. And I went there and I sat down, and almost like I had an epiphany moment again. I felt like my friend's grandmother who'd passed over came to me, and she showed me his spine. And so I saw a vision of a spine, like a hologram. That's the best way I can describe it. I saw a hologram of a spine, and then I saw point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there were 5 points in his back where whoever was showing me this information, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was his grandmother, was showing me exactly where his pain points are, and was explaining to me why he was stuttering, and was also showing me the pain points in his mouth. Now, I'd never studied anatomy or physiology at that stage of my life. I had never studied it. I'd done it at school, but my degree is in business. I've never studied anything medical. So, you know, the fact that this was happening was a bit like, okay, but somehow I had this innate feeling that this was the right thing to do. And this person, was telling me, contact him, and give him a healing. And I was like, yeah, this is a bit strange. He doesn't know me that way, and he doesn't know, he just doesn't know that. This is going to be the weirdest thing ever. But, you know, I started writing and the words came, and I remember writing something like, hello, my friend, I'm so sorry about what's going on with you last night, but I've kind of had a premonition and I would really love to help you. And I know this is strange and you don't know this part of me, but I've done a lot of healing myself, and you know, I've kind of had a download that I need to help you, and I've been shown the points to push to make you feel better. And then I put my caveat in. If you say no, I totally understand, you know, don't worry about it. But if you say yes, please come and see me tomorrow, and you know, see if I can do this healing on you. And Lo and behold, I sent that message. I was panicking. I was so nervous. But lo and behold, he said, yes, I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And I was like, oh, no, what do I do? But I also felt a sense of real tranquility, and that I knew what I was doing, and I knew I would be able to help him. So the next day I saw him, and exactly like the hologram showed me, the same points, I touched those points, and these are acupressure points. And I touched them, and the second I touched them, he went, ow, ow, ow. So I instinctively knew these were the correct points to be pushing. And so I pushed the 5 points, and I saw the hologram again in my mind's eye. And that was a really, really beautiful experience. And then after that, the universe kind of said to me, or this person who was here with me, helping me with the healing. Like I said, I think it was his grandma. This person said to me, he's got a point up here in his palate, and you need to push that because that's what's causing the stuttering. And I was like, come on, you're asking me to ask him to put my fingers in his mouth. This is like a little bit weird, but okay, I trust, And so I said to him, look, can I do this? There's a point in there and I just want to go in. And he said, yeah, sure, Suki, I trust you, no problem. So I went, washed my hands, came back, and then I hit, the second my thumb hit that spot, he was in excruciating pain. So I knew again, that was validation and confirmation that the information I was getting was bang on for what he needed. I then kind of went through a clearing process, and I finished the treatment and we said goodbye to each other, and I went back to that same Roman theatre, and I just sat there and I was blown away. Like, I couldn't believe what just happened. And then again, I felt like the universe opened up and I got surrounded by my team in spirit. And oh gosh, I'm getting a bit emotional talking about this. They all came around me and they showed me more love than I've ever felt. They whooshed so much love in and around me, as if to say, yes, this is it. You're on the right path. This is what we want you to do. And I'm still like, what? I'm still like really confused. I'm like just almost in autopilot, right? I haven't fathomed, or it hasn't sunk in what's just happened. But that's basically how the universe told me that I was going to be an energy healer. And I subsequently then had many other experiences to validate that. And there's loads of stories that I'll tell you here that can explain that. But basically, that was the first time I seriously touched somebody as an energy healer and put myself behind and was a channel and a conduit to be able to, alleviate some pain and some pressure for that person. And when I talked to him afterwards, he said, I feel a lot better, he really felt a lot better. And he had a cry and he had a release, and then later I had a cry and I had a release. And honestly, like, it was and still is one of the most profound moments of my life. So hopefully that answers that question as to how I developed and how I went into being an energy healer. There's a lot more information and I'll explain that in subsequent videos, but fundamentally that's how I went from that course of life to moving to Italy to live out my destiny. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one that makes these changes and is shown what they're really supposed to be or do. So if you have a story, let me know in the comments below, or direct me to your social media page where you've explained this or something like that, because I'd love to hear other people's stories too. And thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions or any comments, let me know down below, okay? I hope you have a gorgeous day wherever you are in this world. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Bye for now.